It's been a long time ago since I started playing Mugen back in 2013. The version of Mugen I downloaded was Mugen 1.0, and what I learned was adding characters to my Mugen roster. I wanted to install Broken Mugen to my Mugen, but I didn't know how to add string packs to my Mugen. But now I do, and much later, I was into cheap characters. Characters like Rare Akuma, Dark Donald, Marshall, and other cheap characters and edits. When I used Killer Donald for my Mugen, I realized that Killer Donald uses %n, so he only works in Win Mugen, not Mugen 1.0, so I removed him from my 1.0 roster. A whole year later, I switched from Broken Mugen, IMT, the 17,004 characters patch for the default motif, which was made by Dr. Zaius, to the UMMC screen pack. One day, when I was searching Mugen 1.0 on Google, I scrolled down and saw a shared link. I clicked on it, and the file said Mugen 1.0 zip. I downloaded it and waited for it to finish downloading, and after I downloaded it, I saw a folder that said Mugen 1.0, and as I opened the folder, there is a TXT file called readme please TXT. I clicked on it, and it said, Mugen 1.0 finally supports %n characters and supports high-res Win Legion screen packs. Now if you're using a high-res Win Legion screen pack for 1.0, the select screen won't be zoomed in. And if you're using a cheap character that has a nuke and a null %n method, Mugen 1.0 won't close itself. Mugen 1.0 also supports 1.1 characters and stages too. You may play at your own risk. Wow! I said, then I closed the TXT file and saw Mugen 1.0.exe. I added the high-res version of the default motif to Mugen, and I added the Killer Donald folder to it. Then I clicked select def and typed in Killer Donald. Then I clicked save and closed out select def. Then I double-clicked it and it started up Mugen, and as it loaded the title screen, I picked versus mode and it showed the select screen. Wow! The select screen isn't zoomed in. It's just the same as Win Legion. I said. Then I picked Killer Donald as player 1 and picked Kung Fu Man as player 2. And then I selected Mountainside Temple for the stage. And as I did, it showed the versus screen, and it showed an error. The error said, error message, invalid format specifier, in %n. What the barnacle? Readme please TXT just said it supports cheap %n characters. Maybe it's just a bug, I said. Then I closed out Mugen and started up Mugen again, and picked versus mode and picked Killer Donald as player 1, and then picked Kung Fu Man as player 2, and then I selected Mountainside Temple for the stage, and as I really did, it showed the versus screen, and then it went to the fight, and as it did, the announcer said, Round 1, fight! KO! I knew it. He really does work in 1.0. I said. Then I closed out Mugen and added Blackwing and Marshall to my roster. I started up Mugen again, and I picked watch mode. I picked Blackwing 12p for player 1 and picked Marshall 12p for player 2, and then I selected training room for the stage. It showed the versus screen. The fight started, and as I used Blackwing 12p to defeat Marshall 12p, Mugen closed itself. Readme please TXT just said it supports cheap nuke characters. Why does it have to close itself? Again, maybe it's just a bug, I said. Then I started up Mugen again and again, and picked the same characters and picked the same stage. Then the fight started again, and this time Mugen didn't close itself. Phew, what a relief, I said. And as Blackwing and Marshall battled and battled, I watched them until Marshall 12p is defeated. Blackwing was a total nuke, I said. Then I closed out Mugen and added Qualia and Mario of Anger to my roster. I started up Mugen again, and something was wrong. Instead of the position of where the screen is supposed to be, the screen was moved showing a big black L that was flipped horizontal. That's the same problem I had when I loaded my Mugen 1.0. I closed out Mugen once again and started up Mugen again and again, and after it loaded, the screen was now red. I knew it. This isn't the normal copy of Mugen 1.0. This is a hacked copy of Mugen 1.0. I said. I closed out Mugen once again and started up Mugen again and again and once again, and then the screen was back to normal. I picked the same mode, which was watch mode, and then I picked Mario of Anger 7P and picked Marshall 12P. Then I selected the same stage, since I picked Killer Donald, which was Mountainside Temple. Then the fight started normally. The fight showed Mario of Anger 7P and Marshall 12P fighting and fighting. They kept on fighting until Marshall 12P is defeated again, just like the way Blackwing 12P defeated Marshall 12P, and on round 2, some tiny red static from Mugen1point0.exe faded onto the screen. The screen started to act all crazy as Mario of Anger 7P and Marshall 12P battled and battled. You could hear loud beeping noises in the background. I exited the fight. Now the screen is normal, but the loud beeping and static noises are still playing in the background. I closed out Mugen again and once again and again, and then I started up Mugen again and again, but the tiny red static was still there on the screen. The screen was still acting crazy as loud beeping and static noises for about 5 seconds as I tried to pick training mode. The screen and game started to freeze, and the loud beeping and static noises freeze too. The loud beeping and static noises were getting very loud. They were so very loud, I had to turn down the volume, and as I sat there with the volume down for about 20 seconds, the noises stopped and the game cuts to black for about 20 seconds, and as I sat there staring at the black screen on the game for about 20 seconds, it showed a hyper-realistic picture of Amy Rose with holes pierced on her face and body. She had red orangey yellow eyes, and she is smiling with her mouth open. It's like if she's happy or something. There were holes pierced on her eyes as well. The picture looked like the same one I saw when I watched Carlos Avi. The picture reminded me of Amy Exe because she is Amy Exe. And as it showed that picture, it did the moaning from Sally Exe, and for 6 seconds, it did the distorted and demonic techno laugh from Mugen1point0.exe as the picture turns to static. I was getting nervously scared as shit at this point. And then the game cuts to black and Mugen closed itself. What did I just play? I realized this is a fucking hacked copy of Mugen1.0. I said. And then I closed out the zip file and deleted Mugen1.0 zip. I can't believe I played a hacked copy of Mugen1.0. So if you see a hacked copy of Mugen1.0, do not download it. Stay away from it. Just stay away from it, I say.